So what got you into pageants?
So it's the craziest thing. I was in the hallway, just talking to, I don't know, I was doing so many things, and someone came up to me, the young lady, I don't remember her name, and she said, Miss So-and-so said to give this to you. I have no idea the teacher's name that she said. And it was an envelope, and when I got home, I opened it, and it was an application to Miss New York Teen USA. And that's how I got started. I have no idea who saw it in me that I could do this, but I'm so grateful for them.
Well, how did you broach this with your mom and dad?
So when I saw it was $1,000 entry fee, I was like, I don't have $1,000. Like, we don't, what? But my mom was a cosmetologist. She had a beauty salon. And one of her clients, Quinn, she said, no, I really think that you should do it. I'll sponsor you. Just do it. So you had to pay $100. So I put my little money together. I paid the $100 to register. And then when they accepted me as a contestant, when Quinn came back to the salon, I said, hey, I'm registered. You said you would sponsor me. And she gave me $20. And she said, good luck. And I said, oh my God.
Wait a minute.
I have to raise $880 now because she said she would sponsor me. She didn't say she would pay the whole thing. So, and that's what turned me into a money-raising machine.
We got to talk to Quinn. That wasn't right.
No, Quinn was a blessing. That was definitely right.
So that put you on your journey.
That put me on my journey. And had she not told me that she would sponsor me, I would have just said, oh, I don't have $1,000. I'm not going to do this. But because she said she would sponsor me, which she did sponsor me, she didn't designate an amount.
Okay.
So I get all amounts of sponsorships, $1,000, $100, $5, everything is a sponsorship and it all counts. But in my little 16-year-old mind, when she said, I'll sponsor you, I'm thinking, oh, she's going to pay this $1,000.
And in my little mind, I thought she was paying the whole $1,000 too.
Nope.
Now, how did and when did Islam enter the picture?
So I was raised in a Christian household, but I always say my mom was such a good Christian that she was a Muslim. She just didn't know it. So my godfather, Hassan, Muslim, and he would always, whenever he would come to the hair salon to pick up his daughters, he would drop little gems on me. He would tell me about how to eat to live, different things like that. And as I got older, Christianity just wasn't adding up to me. And I thought it was like, well, maybe I just don't believe in God. Like this isn't, for me. But then I realized it wasn't God. It was just Christianity. And that's when I started studying different religions. And that's something I believe a lot of times we just take on whatever religion was passed down to us from our parents. But your religion is not your nationality. It's your practice and your belief. So we really have to learn for ourselves. So I started looking into Islam. And once I started studying, and, I read the Bible first, and then I read the Quran. And I was like, yeah, this is it. And it just made so much sense to me. Islam was already how I lived my life. Just I needed to make a couple of tweaks. But I always say Islam is a very common sense, mind your business religion. And that's what I'm about. And it just worked out. So I would say like 2022 is when I really started on this journey. And I started wearing the hijab 2023.
So your first pageant, you were 16 or
So I did my application at 16, but by the time I came to compete, which was like Thanksgiving 2006, I was 17.
Mm-hmm. How did that work out?
I didn't know what I was doing. It was our first pageant. I'm a girl from Bed-Stuy, mom a cosmetologist, dad worked from the city. There was no one in my immediate area that did pageants. So we just went in there and, we looked and, I thought I, had put myself together well. But when I got to the pageant and I saw my dress versus the other girls, and my dress was beautiful. It just wasn't a teen pageant dress. It was more of a miss. My hairstyle, my makeup and everything. So I walked away with nothing. I didn't know what I was doing, but it was an amazing learning experience.
You said it wasn't teen pageant attire.
Right.
So what's the difference between the teen pageant and beyond?
Right. So we know a teen should look like they're a teen. So the dress will be more flowy, lighter colors. I had on a red fitted dress. It was like a kind of a mermaid. And I also wore my hair up in a bun. I looked beautiful, very stunning, but it just was not for a teen pageant. But once I learned, one of my mother's customers, she said, little Mona, she was in her own pageant, because I looked so different. I looked beautiful. I got, a lot of attention. Everyone told me I looked great, but it wasn't pageantry. Pageantry is something you have to learn. It's different from modeling. It's different from high fashion. Pageantry is its own world.
Okay, so as you sit here now, what advice, because, I want you to talk to our audience, what advice would you give to your 17, 18, 19-year-old self?
I wouldn't tell myself a thing because the journey that I went on through pageantry has been such a blessing. All of the losses, all of the coming close, the money raised, the hustle, the bustle, all of it really just made me who I am. So I wouldn't tell myself a thing. I enjoyed the process and I'm grateful for it.
Before we move on, I want to backtrack a bit and talk a little about your master's degree at LIU. Talk about that, because this was in the fine arts.
Yes, Master's of Fine Arts. So the thing is, because I already graduated from the best university in the world, Morgan State University.
I was confused as soon as you said that.
No.
My mind, because usually after the best
Is Morgan State University.
Okay, I'm going to get...
So because I had already attended Morgan with a TV and film degree, when I got to LIU, I will say that the curriculum was more of just a refresher because my education from Morgan was so strong. So I got the refresher. I did some, I made some new connections and I was able to get an internship. And so it worked out really well. I entered into a couple of film festivals. I placed.
Wait, where were your internships?
Oh, I interned with Tracy Baker Simmons. So she's a producer that I met while I was working in Atlanta in TV and film. So when I started pursuing my master's degree, I reached out to her and, I let her know I need an internship and she took me on as her intern.
And you started to do production work or
development.
Behind the camera?
Behind the camera. Yeah. Creative development.
And how was that?
It was great. It was really, really great. I really did enjoy it. She offered me a position to work with her, but I wanted to work on some other things. So my line sister was looking for remote work, so I referred her, and they did really well together.
Line sister?
Yes.
Which one?
Which line sister?
No, which sorority?
Well, my brother, if you went to HU, then you can look at me and you know which sorority I'm a member of.
Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Of course. Sorority Incorporated.
But
you know these things, brother. You know these things.
Yeah. I could just look and see the whole.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take the beat up. Just okay. So, did you say incorporated? Did you?
Yes, incorporated. Actually, because you left that.
Put the music note to it. All right, so. Now you're in the world working, and you have entered into Islam as a revert.
Yes.
How's your studies going at that time?
My studies of TV.
Of Islam.
Of Islam is going really well. So
because there's two things going on, and I want to make sure my question is understood. Because you're doing the master's, and you're interning, and you're also reverting. So
I was in that period, but I hadn't started to study yet. So the studying, I finished my master's May 2022. So by maybe like September, that's when I really started studying Islam. So it came like right after the other.
And how did that work? How did it impact your dean studying or being behind the scenes in film and television? So
the funniest thing, it's like God just stopped everything that was going on in my life and so that I could just focus on Islam. So I decided not to take the position with Tracy because I had some other things that I was going to work on, but they didn't really come through the way that I thought that they would. And even my real estate business started to slow down. So I had all of this time for a year where I just devoted myself to studying Islam.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so when did the pageant come into play?
So in 2022, I also ended up getting COVID. So I love to travel. I love adventures, jumping out of planes, hiking up volcanoes, wild animal encounters, you name it. So in 2022, I went to Mexico. I ended up getting COVID. And during those 2 weeks of me being home, I thought of everything in my life, every mistake, every this, every that. And I really started regretting that I couldn't compete anymore. And that I didn't compete in my last year of eligibility. So then the next year, the eligibility, the cap was removed. But by then I was like, oh, I'm a hijabi, I can't compete. But then the following year I said, and why can't I?